Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. Champions League, that's what we have to talk about in today's video, unfortunately, but we know it already, it will not involving Juventus. We will take care of Juventus from tomorrow with the verdict about the 15 points, and then we'll concentrate on a cup that unfortunately it's not called Champions League but Europa League, but this is absolutely another story. Speaking about story, well, history matters. This is how I want to call the video today, because there were two games. Real Madrid that was playing in London against Chelsea. Real Madrid did it again, 2-0, the same score that they did in their own home. This time they had to wait the second half with the brace of Rodrigo. They qualified to the semi-final. Are we surprised? No, absolutely not, because the Blancos were already really strong of that first game. They were already solid, and then when we are speaking about Champions League, when we are speaking about Real Madrid, the one that has the most Champions League trophies into their museum, well, there is nothing to be surprised about. We will come back on that game a bit later, because I want to focus on the other game, the Italian derby that was played in that quarter-final between Napoli and Milan. Well, the games were open because the 1-0 scored by Bennacer in the home game in San Siro was giving the possibility to Napoli today to change it and to give them the possibility to arrive to the Champions League semi-final. They didn't, because the score was 1-1 with a fantastic, beautiful goal of Olivier Giroud, not Antoine. Antoine is the Griezmann, the one that is playing at Atletico Madrid. Well, anyway, Giroud, but guys, fantastic goal. Not really his goal, because it's a tap-in after him missing a penalty, but it's Leao that is going on that left wing alone in counter-attack, dribbling everyone that was on his way. Not that there were a lot of players, but anyway, the ones that were in front of him, he was able to dribble them in a velocity that was incredible. At that moment, I was thinking about Mbappe, another player that is able to do these kind of things. Well, that wing totally free for Leao, going at full speed, and then that beautiful assist. Absolutely not selfish Leao that gave that ball to Giroud for that tap-in. Well, I spoke about the history. History matters, the title of the video, but also what we started speaking with for the Blancos. Well, it's exactly the same thing that I want to start speaking about, the Italian derby in that quarter-final of Champions League. Because when the draws were known and when Napoli discovered that they had to play against Milan, a lot of them, and of course not everyone, but a lot of Napoli fans were celebrating that draw. They were happy that they were playing against Milan. Speaking about celebrations when you have the draw, we Juventini, we absolutely know that it's something that is totally forbidden. You can't celebrate when you are playing against Ajax, against Lyon, against Villarreal, against Porto, because we all know how it finished, unfortunately for Juventus. Celebrating before the game is absolutely something that you have to condemn, that you can't do, that you have to disallow, because you need to respect every single team. Then I told you about 4 teams. If we are speaking about Milan that was out of the international scenes for so many years, but Milan is Milan. Milan is the Italian club with most Champions League won, 7. 7 is a lot, is actually really a lot. A team with a DNA, especially a European DNA, a team with experience in these kind of games, a team that when they were drawn against Napoli should be a bit more humble, respecting the DNA, the story of Milan. And Milan did it again. From the first moment that I saw that draw, I said, attenzione, not sure if Napoli will go through. I have the feeling, and I was talking about it with my friend Marco from IFTV, I said immediately, I have the feeling that Milan will go through. I am not scared. And it was before that 4-0 that we saw in the last game in Serie A between Milan and Napoli. I was quite sure about Milan going through in Champions League. Of course, that 4-0 without Osimhen is telling us a story where Napoli was a bit more humbled, but they said, attenzione, we have so many advantage in Serie A that Champions League will be another competition. They play in Champions League, they lose 1-0, still without their top scorer, Osimhen, and of course he's changing a lot the team of Napoli, especially in terms of being clinical in front of the goal, in terms of finishing, and he was not able to do, not him because he was not there, but not the team of Napoli. Well, today they play, and Napoli is actually starting immediately full pressure. They go up front. They try immediately at the 30th second with Kvaratskhelia, where you tell, mamma mia, attenzione Milan, because not sure if you will be able to contend all of them, especially because Osimhen is there today to finish the beautiful skills of a Politano, of a Kvaratskhelia up front, and could be really dangerous, and we felt it. Now, the big question was, if they are not able to put that ball behind the back of Mike Maignan, Magic Mike, and he proved it again into the game, well, maybe it will start to be difficult because they are spending a lot of energy. The crazy thing is that I always told you knockout games, knockout stages are really difficult because you never can really count on what will happen in that single game. And it's not a mystery that in first half you have immediately two players from Napoli that has to be subbed out, Mario Rui and Politano, two players that are really important, especially if in the first game you were already missing Anguissa that was suspended and Kim Min-jae, well, that are already four starters that are not there anymore to compete for nearly 2/3 of the game. Well, Napoli, they receive a penalty against after a fantastic initiative again from Leao, Rafael Leao, that was in big form today as he was in the 4-0 win against Napoli. Well, they win a penalty, they are not able to score it, and that's where you think, Milan can potentially mentally collapse, because we know it, when you are missing a penalty in the home of Napoli with a full stadium that was supporting, well, everything can happen. But Milan was solid and able to score that first goal that brought them to the semi-final. When I'm saying history is important, being humble is important. Yesterday evening, well, again, Napoli, and this is something that I hope they will learn in the future, because it's not the only time, it's not the first time that is happening. They are working with fireworks. They are playing fireworks in the middle of the night in front of the hotel of the Milan players to disturb their sleep, to make sure that they are not sleeping. Again, history repeating itself. Napoli using fireworks before the final result. In my knowledge, you play or you do fireworks after a victory. You are doing it at New Year. But at New Year, you don't go with fireworks before you are hitting midnight, before you are the 1st of January. You are playing fireworks before, or right after, I'm sorry. You're doing the fireworks right after, when you do it, not before, because it makes no sense. Well, it's a bit the same story here. After winning Serie A, you do your fireworks, not after beating Juventus 1-0, do you remember a few seasons ago, for at the end losing that Scudetto, the Scudetto of the hotel, do you remember that story? Well, not after a single game, you do it after winning the Scudetto, that you will probably win this year. You don't play with fireworks before playing the return game, especially if you know that you already led 1-0. Anyway, guys, the story, repeat a bit himself, a Milan DNA that goes through in semi-final, and the last time we have to repeat it was in 2003, and we all know what happened in 2003, Milan going and winning that Champions League against Juventus. Unfortunately, they do it again. History, DNA matters a lot. I believe that Napoli can be proud, but seriously, I'm honest, I think that they can really be proud about their journey in Champions League, because we have to remind it, it's the first time in their history that they arrive and they achieve to play a game of quarterfinal of Champions League. So be proud, Napoli. Maybe you will repeat the story next year, achieving again the quarterfinal. Maybe you will break your record achieving the semifinal. It can happen. You have the team to do it, depending on the mercato, what will happen in the summer. You have the trainer to do it, you have the team to do it, you have the capacity, you will have more experience, but you can already be proud about how you tried to play against Milan in both games, even if, according to me, Milan was stronger. You have everything to do it. Then step by step by step. Be already proud of your first ever in history qualification to the quarterfinal. If I can say a few words about Chelsea, Real Madrid, well, history there again, even if they had a fantastic man there in the first half, and it is Thibaut Courtois, the Belgian goalkeeper, that according to Real Madrid fans, Chelsea fans, was really the big man of the first half. But then the story, Rodrigo, the Blancos, they go into semi-final, both teams cannot play against each other. We will have to wait tomorrow's game, Benfica against Inter. Benfica that is led 2-0 by Inter, if they will be able to do an epic remontada to play against Milan, or if it will be the Derby della Madonnina also in Champions League. Let's see what will happen. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that mini debrief about the Champions League. Unfortunately, it was not with Juve. Hopefully in 23-24 we can go back on Champions League talks with our Bianconeri in it. Let's see. Grazie, forza, Juve.